Number 11 says, find the zeros of the function f of x equals x squared plus 6x plus 18. So far, the best way we can do this is either by factoring or completing the square. Now, to factor, we'd have to find two numbers that multiply to 18 but add to 6, which there aren't any. So instead, we're going to have to complete the square. So let's start off just by rewriting it and setting it equal to 0. Because in order to find the zeros, it has to be set equal to 0. Going through the steps of completing the square, we're going to subtract 18 from both sides, giving us x squared plus 6x equals, sorry, that's bad x, 6x equals negative 18. Step 2 says divide by a if there is something other than 1 for a. Step 2 is done. A is 1. Step 3 says add b over 2 squared to both sides. In this case, b is 6 divided by 2. And square it. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Squared is 9. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. So I get x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals, add 9 to negative 18, giving us negative 9. Step 4 says factor that left side out. So remember, the reason we added that 9 to both sides is so that we can factor it out into a binomial squared. So x squared plus 6x plus 9, two numbers that multiply to 9 and add to positive 6 are positive 3 and positive 3. So we get x plus 3 times x plus 3, or x plus 3 quantity squared. That negative 9 is still there. Step 5 says we need to take the square root. So we have x plus 3 squared equals negative 9, and we need to take the square root of both sides. So x plus 3 squared, taking the square root, we end up with just x plus 3. The square and the square root cancel out. On the other side, square root of negative 9, we're going to get plus or minus 3i. Now, we did that one on, I believe it was number 9, so we ended up getting the same thing. Just as a refresher, square root of negative 9 we can break down into the square root of 9 times the square root of negative 1, which is I and plus or minus 3. So, just making sure we know where that number comes from. Step 6 says, get x all by itself. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. So I've got x equals negative 3 plus or minus 3i. There are two solutions.